So the question I get asked most frequently by my friends or family or whoever is, what card should I have? Great question, and unfortunately there's not a specific answer. I would just say you should get the cards that give you the most points and can also transfer the best partners for the kind of travel that you want to do. It'll take some learning to figure out exactly what this is. Then of course people want to know, what cards do I have? And I'll tell you exactly which cards I have and why I have them. Now, here's a whole list. And I have 3 from American Express, 3 from Chase, 1 from Capital One. Those all transfer to a bunch of different airlines, as we've talked about. And then I have a Marriott Bonvoy card, a Delta card, and a Charles Schwab card. Now, I actually am canceling one of these, and I'll explain more in a second. Now, I know you're thinking, does your wife know that you spend $2,600 on annual fees on credit cards? Yes, she does. So before you go and call her, I would like to let you know that I auto pay the full statement balance every month. I am what the credit card companies would call a deadbeat. And if you are going to credit card hack your way to lots of great travel, you should be too. Because whatever money you'll be spending on interest or late fees will far outweigh whatever benefits you get from getting the points if you don't manage your cards well. I also rarely pay cash for hotels or flights, so this is kind of like a travel budget for my wife and I utilize retention offers. I'll tell you about those in a second, and I save whenever flights or bags are delayed. So, first card first, American Express Platinum. This is my, it's like a nostalgic card for me because it got me into the points game. I was working for a company that booked a lot of flights, and a colleague of mine told me, hey man, the American Express Platinum will give you 5 points back on travel. We were putting like $200,000 a year on flights. And so it'll give you 5 points back on flights. And so I was like, wow, this is amazing. So I ended up getting like 1,000,000 points a year. I used them for the business, but I learned how to use them to their max value, and the business was super happy because we saved like over $20,000 a year rather than getting cash back on $200,000, which would have been like what, $2,000. So yeah, this is my first card. It's my baby. I still have it. It has the best transfer partners. American Express is the only card that transfers to ANA, which is my personal favorite program. It has the best lounge network in the world, including American Express lounges, Plaza Premium lounges, Priority Pass Select, Aspire lounges, Delta lounges when you fly Delta. It has a $200 airline fee credit. The way to use this is obviously as an airline fee, or if you look it up online, varies from year to year, but there's some ways you can usually work around this. United Travel Bank in $50 increments sometimes works. Also Delta, if you pay for part of the flight with a gift card, the rest of the flight will trigger as a fee. So if you have a $250 flight, you can buy a $50 gift card, put the $50 gift card on the flight, and then the rest of the flight has sometimes in the past triggered the fee for me so that I don't have to worry about finding $200 worth of fees, and then I get basically $200 off the card each year. $200 towards fine hotels and resorts. Now, unless you really stay at some nice places, this is probably not very useful, but I used to live near Las Vegas where casinos would just try to fill up rooms, and so fine hotels and resorts would sometimes be $80 a night. So if we're coming in for a flight or leaving for a flight, we would book one of those hotels and get free breakfast, 4 p.m. late checkout, an upgrade to a room, and like $100 credit for food. It was really cool. $240 digital entertainment credit. This used to work for Audible. They do change. It now works for like ESPN Plus and Disney Plus and New York Times and a few others. $100 to Saks Fifth Avenue, $50 per 6 months. So you can buy a polo shirt on sale if you want. $15 a month to Uber and Uber Eats. That goes up to, I think, $40 in December. Get Hilton Honors Gold. I'm bolding the ones that I use the most and the ones that I care the most about. Hilton Honors Gold status is valuable because it gives you free breakfast at all Hilton properties. Now, in the US, free breakfast usually means like a bagel, but if you travel internationally, even if you pay like $60 or $100 a night for a hotel, they'll give you a really nice buffet breakfast that otherwise would cost you $30 or $40 a person, and you can save tons of money that way. Marriott Bonvoy Gold Elite. I don't stay at a lot of Marriott properties, so I don't use this super often. Clear membership, again, I have it, but I don't use it super often because I find that it often takes more time to go through Clear and then have them take you through TSA PreCheck than just to go through TSA PreCheck. So it depends on your airport. TSA PreCheck / global entry. Always go for global entry because it includes TSA PreCheck, though the application is a little bit harder. And it gives you Walmart Plus, which also includes Paramount Plus, has good travel insurance, because I think if your flight is delayed 6 or 8 hours, you'd have to check. They will put you up in a hotel for the night, so that can be a real benefit. And then, yeah, 5 points back per $1 on airfare booked with the airlines. That's like Delta.com and United.com, those kinds of things. And then 5 points back on AmexTravel.com. The last hack is that I rarely pay for the annual fee. Here's how I do this. Every time the annual fee renewal is coming up, I call up American Express and I say, hey, do you have any retention offers? Some people will call them and say, I'm planning to cancel my card. And then they'll give you the retention offer thing. If I'm not actually planning to cancel the card, I don't do this. I just don't want to do that. So I just say, do you have any retention offers? And then usually some nice person on the phone will say, do you realize all the value you're getting from your card? Yes, I do. It's just very expensive. Do you have any retention offers? Eventually you'll get to the point where they say, okay, here's what we can offer you. If you don't like the offer, just call back in a few weeks. It's probably changed. If you spend enough money on the cards, usually the offers are pretty good. If you put $4 a year on the card, they're probably not going to give you a very good retention offer. But for me, because I generally put quite a bit of money on the card, they will usually offer to waive the annual fee, or they'll give me like 50,000 points sometimes. And I usually take the 50,000 points because I can get more value from the 50,000 points than I can get from a $700 statement credit. So you just have to agree to keep the card for an additional year. So I've done that, and I've probably saved, I don't know, 4 or 5 annual fees on this card specifically just by calling American Express and talking to them about this. So this benefit can really be used for any card, but American Express seems to be the most generous when it comes to actually waiving the fees. This is another card that I have. I don't think the perks itself are that great, but the way that I use it is to get a lot of points. So it gives you 4 points back on your top 2 spending categories up to $150,000 per year. So if you advertise online or on TV or on radio, I advertise online. I run a marketing company. So if your marketing company is bad, feel free to go to adventdigitalmarketing.com. We'll be happy to talk to you, see if we can help you out. It also works for U.S. purchases made with electronic goods retailers and software and cloud system providers, restaurants, takeout, gas stations, transit, monthly wireless telephone service charges. So yeah, if you're a business owner and you utilize any of these spending categories, this is hugely valuable because instead of getting $150,000 back, 150,000 points back on $150,000 worth of spend, which is what I was doing before. I was putting all of my spend on this card and losing hundreds of thousands of points every single year. Instead of getting 150,000 points, you'll get 600,000 points. And so, yeah, that's super valuable. So valuable, in fact, that I have 2 of them because if I ever spend more than $150,000 on ads in a year, I want to make sure that I get the 4x benefit rather than just the 1x benefit. So, yeah, that extra 450,000 points a year is super, super valuable. Another everyday card that I use is the Chase Sapphire Preferred. Costs $95. They give you $50 back on a hotel credit every year. Gives you 2 points back on travel. 3 points back on dining. Can't say I'm the kind of person that tracks all of my dining a lot because I just don't probably spend enough money to make it worth it. I might get a few thousand points extra a year. They do give a 10% anniversary points boost. That's nice. So instead of 2 points back on travel, it's really 2.2 points back on travel. And yeah, it has good travel insurance as well and primary rental car coverage. So if you're going to book a rental car, use a Chase card or a Capital One Venture X card because then you won't have to go through your insurance company in the event that you wreck the car or something happens. This card is very similar to the American Express Business Gold card in that I use it basically just to get more points. So instead of 4 points back per dollar on advertising, it gives you 3 points back per dollar on advertising. But it can also be used for shipping purchases if you're in that kind of an industry, internet, cable, and phone services, and travel. So yeah, great benefit. Rather than getting 1 point back, you can get 3 points back. I tend to transfer most of my Chase points to Hyatt, but there are some other great partners there that can be really useful. Also gives you primary rental car insurance, but only on business trips. If you're traveling internationally, it works for personal trips as well, but just check all of these terms and conditions because I don't want to tell you something that you're watching this video months or years from now and it's outdated. So just make sure to check all of these things. Again, why I have 2 of these cards is if I go over $150,000 in ads, I want to make sure that I get the 3 points back instead of just the 1 point back, and it's worth it for me to pay 2 annual fees in order to make sure that I get those bonuses because I use those points to travel. Another one of my favorite cards, and the card that I probably recommend to people who don't spend a lot of money on credit cards if they're just looking for one card, is this card, because it gives you $300 back in an annual travel credit, and it's only $400 annually. So you're really only paying $100 for the card as long as you use that, and they give you 10,000 annual anniversary bonus miles, which are worth at least 1 cent, but way more than that if you follow the principles that we teach you in this course. It also gives you access to Capital One lounges with 2 guests. It also gives you access to Priority Pass lounges, just like American Express. I have seen a little bit of a difference in the membership with American Express and Capital One. It transfers to Turkish Airlines. That's huge. We can talk more about that later. And it gives you 10x miles on hotels and rental cars booked through Capital One Travel, which is a pretty big deal. 5x miles on flights, 2x miles on all other purchases. So this is great because for anyone who doesn't put a lot of money on their cards, like you only put $10,000 a year on a card, you don't want to have to worry about, am I out to eat, or is it a supermarket card or a gas station card or whatever. Just get 2 miles back on everything, transfer them to the right partners, and you get a lot of points. Also gives you global entry and TSA pre-check, so some benefits there. This card I really only have because it gave me a nice sign-up bonus when I was going on my honeymoon. It gave me 3 free nights at a Marriott property, which I used in Hawaii, which would have been like $700 a night. And it also gives me 1 free night award. This is the reason why I keep this card, because it gives me a hotel that is worth more than the $95 I pay for the card annually. Other than that, I pretty much never spend on this card or use this card for anything. I just pay the $95 and get a free night at a hotel when it would otherwise be very expensive. So I don't use it on like a random property that would be $100 a night. I try to wait until like, oh no, it's really expensive here and this hotel just so happens to be $350, but I can use my free night award and use it for that. So this is the card that unfortunately I have just parted with, but I'll tell you why I had it. If you are a Delta Elite, I would recommend definitely having a Delta card, probably this one or the Reserve, depending on how much you want to travel with Delta. I had this one and the American Express Platinum because the Reserve benefits with the lounge were not better than the American Express Platinum benefits. The American Express Platinum card gives you better benefits for lounges, provided that you put enough money on the card to be able to go to Delta lounges enough. It also gives you 15% off all of your miles bookings, which seemed like a great idea to everyone initially, and then they realized that Delta just raised their prices by at least 15%. So that kind of is what it is. It can help you with status. If you're not a Delta Elite, this doesn't matter to you. And then a great benefit is at the top there, the annual companion pass certificate. So this used to only work in the lower 48, but now it works for Alaska, Hawaii, and a couple of, I think, Puerto Rico and some of the islands in the Caribbean as well. So super valuable there. The reason I don't have this is because I just don't pay cash for tickets very much. And in order to utilize that annual companion certificate, you have to pay cash for a ticket. So anyways, also gives you $150 to Delta stays. That can work for some hotels. $120 for rideshare, first bag free on Delta. That was useless to me because I had status for so many years with them. Upgrade priority. If you've been a Delta Platinum, you probably know that that means virtually nothing. I have friends in the United Space who are in the same equivalent zone and they seem to get upgraded more regularly. So I thought about switching my status to United, but anyways, that's to be determined. It also gives you 3 points back on Delta purchases and hotels, 2 points back on groceries and dining. The reason I put these in italics at the bottom is because don't use your card for this, because 3 points back on Delta is not worth 1 point back on American Express in most cases. So as we've talked about in previous videos, like you can transfer your miles to Virgin Atlantic and book the same flight for 60,000 miles that Delta would charge you like 350,000 miles for. So it's kind of a waste to be building up lots of Delta miles. Just spend whatever you have to get the status or whatever you need, and then put the rest of your spending on other cards. Last but not least, the Charles Schwab debit card is a debit card that I have purely because it reimburses all the ATM fees around the world, and I don't like getting nickel and dimed every $5 to $10 for whenever I want to take out some money. So anyways, this is a nice perk of having this card. You don't have to have any kind of minimum balance in the account in order to utilize this benefit, and it can be very valuable if you travel internationally a lot. To wrap up here, I want to leave you with a disclosure. Whatever card you get, be a deadbeat and auto pay your full statement balance every month. Utilize the retention offers that we talked about. Call the credit card companies up when it's time to renew your card and ask if they have retention offers. If your flights or bags are delayed, you can contact the companies and say, hey, my bags are delayed. Sometimes the airlines will give you the benefit, but sometimes the credit cards will also give you the benefit if the airlines don't kick in. I've gotten free clothes this way when my bags were delayed. Like one Christmas, I had like 3 days worth of free clothes that they bought, and I still have some of those shirts. So that can be helpful. Amex card bonuses are once per lifetime. Just be aware of that. So if you get the bonuses now, we'll talk later about how to get more points. And obviously credit card sign-up bonuses are one of those, but you shouldn't rely on that because that's only kind of a one-time deal. And then there's an unwritten rule with Chase that if you've applied for 5 or more cards in the last 24 months, they generally will not approve you for a new card. So you just kind of need to spread out your applications to make sure that you can get approved at the right time.